Hi everyone, in this video we're going to go over Transcendent Starry. So first off, let's go over her skills. Her targeting range is a very unique one where she targets a unit with the lowest current health. If she kills that unit, she'll then proc her EX, which will deal fixed damage to another unit that is on low health, and therefore she can kill 2 units in one go, right? Now, her basic attack is scaling of crit chance and attack. She also buffs herself with crit chance and crit damage, and therefore, she's scaling herself with on the first skill, right? At rank 5, she'll gain camouflage. The camouflage will mean that if there's another unit alive on the team, then Starry cannot be directly attacked by another unit, right? She can still be targeted by Crim's charm. However, she does also have a charm immunity for the first 9 turns. Therefore, if you are trying to block a Crim with your Starry, you'll want her to be fairly early in the turn order, otherwise this might run out and she'll just get charmed. But you can run her later. Just keep in mind that she won't be charm immune if you run her in a later position. And that's the general gist of what she does. Like, she's primarily a unit that takes out 2 units in one go, right? Does a very high single target burst damage. And yeah, mostly for PvP. However, for her to be good in PvP, you want her to be at least rank 5, I would say. Very bare minimum rank 4. Rank 4 she'll gain the immunity to taunt, which is quite important, but rank 5 she gets a lot of survivability. And I think if you're going to rank 4 anyway, you may as well go to rank 5. Beyond rank 5, she mostly just gains more damage, which is not really that needed. Therefore, I would just leave her at rank 5 personally. Now, for her gear, she has all attack percentage for her resonance gear, and for her actual cause, this is where she can be a little bit flexible. For pure damage, you run her on flat attack and percentage attack, similar to most DPS. However, in PvP, you can mix and match a little bit of HP into a cause. You can use like hybrid cause with half flat attack, half percentage, and for both HP and attack. This will give her more HP and make her a little bit more survivable against reflect damage. That is a little bit meta dependent, but because clock is such a big problem in PvP at the moment, and probably still will be for quite a long time, you may have to take that into consideration. I would suggest watching your battles and seeing whether your T-Starry just dies to a reflect at some point. If she is, then you might have to swap in some hybrid cores. But this is the general gist of her abilities. These are where her stats are at with the max attack. And yeah, let's just do a quick example of her in action, just so you can see what she actually does. Okay, normally if you're doing a battle, you run her with some supports, of course, right? There's a bit of options. You can run her with Lena and Mizo, or I say, but those will give you some damage reduction, right? Mostly, Lena does give a little bit of attack, but you're mostly doing that for damage reduction if you're running a pure damage build on her, because that can help mitigate reflect damage if that's going to be an issue. You can also run her with Fleur for a similar thing. She buffs crit damage with the over limit, and she can also buff some damage reduction too. Franca is a good support as well for crit chance, especially if you're not doing like a max, level 10 Transcendent Starry, then you might need a little bit more crit chance to max her crit chance out with. It may not be needed though, just because she does so much raw damage anyway. You may not necessarily need it. So you can potentially just run her with no supports as well. That is an option if you just don't have enough spaces for your to put T-Starry to get buffed. That's something you could do too. Now I want to show her like quickly with ×2 support, just so you can. It's not too quick, right? She'll target the lowest unit, which is going to be this Ilya, and then she's going to do some extra pop damage to another unit here, as you can see. Even though her, she's a single target unit, she can take out 2 units in one go. Now keep in mind the EX ability does have a cooldown. I believe it's 5 turns. Therefore, she's not going to be killing 2 units every turn. However, after the if the fight goes on for a long time, then she might pop her EX again if she kills another unit later on. Now her biggest weakness is Jaksui, which I did a video on recently. Sorry for the stutter, but the reason for that is because she has no damage reduction ignore, right? A lot of DPS units will have something like it ignores armor or something like that, or ignores damage reduction or resilience. But she has none of that. Therefore, if you want to hit units that have max armor or any sort of max damage reduction, then you might need to run her with another unit that has some sort of stat strip, right? To lower their armor. Or whatever damage reduction you're having trouble with. And that's why her, like, the most easy counter for her is Jaksui. Mirror is also another counter for her, but she would need 100%, rank 10 to get enough damage reduction, which is quite a heavy investment, which most players probably won't have. But yeah, Jaksui is very easily accessible, only an SI unit, and therefore for that reason, I don't really recommend to invest into a T-Starry. If you want her just for collection, then just leave her at rank 0 or rank 1 with the resonance gear, because she's still usable in PvE. If you just want have place to use her, that's fine. If you're trying to be competitive in PvP, I just don't feel that it's worth the resources, especially if you're not going to whale for her. If you're planning to whale and spend the money to get her up, then that's fine. Get her to rank 5 and you have her as an option. She is quite expensive to build though, because she also needs a lot of awakening materials. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, otherwise it's up to you. I'd say keep her at rank 5. If you really want to whale for her to rank 10, that's your choice. But rank 5 is the recommended for general PvP use case, and then like below that, it's mostly a PvE unit. You can use it a little bit in Moon Abyss, but that depends on how high of the Haze points you're going for that. Alright, I think that's pretty much covers everything you need to know about Transcendent Starry. She does need to use the Transcendent tickets. That's why I don't really recommend her. This is very premium currency. You don't get a lot of this. Therefore, yeah, I would say save up for a different Transcendent unit if you can, but yeah, that will be dependent on how much money you're willing to spend on her. Alright, well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If there's anything that I missed, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.